Shalom, shalom, Israel. Za'aba Yala, right? Tazama will be on soon. All praises to the Most High, right? All praises to the Most High. Just a quick Q&A that we can go over, right? Q&A that we can go over. First, we're going to give all praise to Yahweh Shim Yahushua, right? Double honors to the men out there on the highways and byways, pushing his truth and honesty and sincerity of heart, right? Building up the church in righteousness and sincerity, right? The mighty Aquath at the households and the households building up their children, building up their households, guiding their households, right? All praise to Yahweh Shem Yahushua, and the mighty children as well, abiding in their parents' households, abstaining from all the lust, temptation, right? And different things this world has to offer, man. Right? Shalom to the comment board, T. Sellers, right? K. Paradise, Philip Nelson, Brother Believe, Don Israel, right? Malcolm Kafi, daughter of Zion, Shalom, Shalom, Shalom. Right, it's gonna be a Q&A. Unleash all the questions, WFI hot seat, and we want to answer as many questions in order that we can through the spirit. All right. So I see. Let's see what the first question is. K Paradise, are we supposed to remain celibate until we find a wife? Right. Well, let's get it. Let's bring that out. Are we supposed to remain celibate until we find a wife? Because I mean, let's go to Exodus 22:16. Because when you go into the word celibacy, right, this means abstaining from sex. But what is sex? All right, this is Exodus chapter 22:16. And if a man entice a maid that is not betrothed and lie with her, he shall surely endow her to be his wife. Right? He shall surely endow her to be his wife. So if you lay down with the woman, by law, you're married to that woman. Right? Let's get some accounts of that. Right? Let's get the book of Genesis, chapter 24. Right? This is Genesis chapter 24 and verse 65. Let's see what Isaac did with his wife, Rebecca. Right? And it says, and when she had, I'm gonna start at verse 65, Genesis 24 and 65. For she had said unto the servant, what man is this that walketh in the field to meet us? And the servant had said, it is my master. Therefore she took a veil and covered herself. And the servant told Isaac all things that he had done. And Isaac brought her into his mother's tent. So Isaac brought this woman into his mother's tent and took Rebecca, and she became his wife. Now, in that tent, how big was his tent, first of all? Right? Did he have a priest in there? Right? They had chairs set up in the tent. Maybe you had the cake, the cake with the different layers, and you got the man and the woman at the top. They had lights in there. Right? Well, how big was this tent? Because in this society, they'll tell you that instead of having sex, you gotta get a piece of paper with Esau's signature on it, man. Right? Right? You gotta pull Esau's what's it called? Gotta get a signature, right? The court, the state gotta authorize it, and then you're married. You gotta put the ring on the thing. No, that's not how that works. Right? And it says, and Isaac brought her into his mother Sarah's tent and took Rebekah, and she became his wife and loved her, and Isaac was comforted after his mother's death. So when you have intercourse with the woman, that is your wife according to the Bible. Right? Now, let's say you had intercourse with a woman and you don't make her wife. What is that called now? All right, let me go to the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 3. All right. 1 Corinthians chapter 3. Let me pull the questions up real quick. Let me see if I can scroll up. All right. See if I can scroll up in this thing. Kind of that's cool. All right. 1 Corinthians chapter 3, right? So going into, do we have to be celibate? Right? Do we have to be celibate? Right? If we don't have a wife. This is 1 Corinthians 3 and 16. Actually, 1 Corinthians 6 and verse 15. Know you not that your bodies are the temples of Hamashiach? All right, hold on. Let me get the brother in here. Shalom, King. Shalom.
Shalom.
Shalom. I'm trying to scroll up. I don't know. I don't think I can scroll up. Oh, there we go. All right. So I'm going into this question right here. All right. And it says, know you not that your body are the members of Mashiach? Shall I then take the members of Mashiach and make them the members of a harlot? God forbid. What you know that which is joined to an harlot is one body, for two saith he shall be one flesh. Flee fornication, right? Flee fornication. Every sin that a man doeth is without the body, but he that committeth fornication sinneth against his own body. So if you laying down with a woman with the intent of not trying to make her your wife, that's called fornication, right? But the Lord said, get away from fornication, right? Let's get the book of Ephesians chapter 4 and verse 22. So technically, yes, if you're not dealing with a woman, right, as you know, in order, or courting a woman, and you don't have the intent of making her your wife, you can't just fulfill your lust and kind of just do your thing with a woman and pass her into the way on the wayside, man. Saying good luck. You put up the peace sign, you say good luck, right? You can't. We're not doing that, right? It's Ephesians 4 and 22. Ephesians chapter 5 and 3. But fornication and all uncleanness or covetousness, let it not be once named amongst you as you become saints, man. Right. So the Lord said, when you're dealing with fornication, don't let that be named among you. Right. And you had eunuchs in the Bible. You had a lot of eunuchs in the Bible. I mean, let's look at Ezra, for example. Let's go to this book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 6. Right. It's 2nd Ezra, chapter 6 and 32. And it says, for thy voice is heard before the Most High, for the mighty one have seen thy righteous dealings. He have seen also thy chastity, which thou hast had ever since thy youth. So Ezra had chastity ever since he was a youth, right? Let's see what that's going into. You see my screen, right?
That's it.
Chastity, the state of or practice of refraining from extramarital or especially from all sexual intercourse. So Ezra didn't deal with women. He has not known women from his youth. And look how this man, now think about it. Don't put your head down and say, well, damn, I can't be with women, or I can't deal with a woman right now. Gotta get it rid. Look, hey, Ezra was told that he was getting the kingdom of God in 2 chapters later, 2nd Ezra, the 8th chapter. And this man didn't really deal with a woman. Yahushua tells about certain eunuchs that were eunuchs for the kingdom of heaven. All right, let's go to the book of Matthew, chapter 19. All right. It's Matthew 19 and 12. For there are some eunuchs. All right, let's look up a eunuch. Let me spell that. Eunuch. A eunuch is a man who has been castrated, or especially in the past, one employed to guard the woman's living areas in occasion court. Right, we're not dealing with that. Right, and an effectual person. Right, so it's just basically a man that doesn't have his, his so-called private parts. They can't really deal with women. Right, and Yahweh Shah is going to talk about those certain men that don't have their stones. Right, and it says, for there are some eunuchs which were so born from their mother's womb. So there were certain men on the earth that didn't, that weren't born with certain parts. Right, and it says, and there are some eunuchs which were made eunuchs of men. Right, during the sub-Saharan slave trade, one of the things the Arabs did to Jake was they cut off their private parts, because their women, the Arab people's women, Ishmael's women, delighted in us more than them. So one of their tactics was to cut off men's private parts. Right, and they did that all throughout slavery. That's becoming a eunuch of men. But what else does it say? And there be eunuchs which have made themselves eunuchs for the kingdom of heaven's sake. He that is able to receive it, let him receive it. Meaning there are certain men that just abstain from women just to deal with their first wife wisdom. Right? They just abstain from women, right? And they put all their time into wisdom in serving Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. Right? So let me go to 1 Corinthians chapter 7. All right, real quick. Let's see what Paul said, giving counsel on marriage. It's 1 Corinthians chapter 7 and verse 7. For I would that all men were even as I myself, but every man has his proper gift of God, one after this manner, another after that. So what is Paul saying? Did Paul deal with a woman? No, his first wife was wisdom. He was all about doing the work of the Lord. And Paul said, I wish that every man was just like myself. But he knows that every man's not going to be like him. And some men are going to take wives. Some men are going to take more than one wife. Some men are not just going to deal with women just according to how their spirit is, man. Right? Because when you're dealing with a woman, what comes with that? Let's jump down to verse. Let's see. 33. I start verse 32. But I would have you without carefulness. He that is unmarried care for the things that belong to the Lord, how you may please the Lord. Because if you're unmarried, all your mind and your time can go into serving the Yahweh Shem Shah. But let's say you are married, verse 31, verse 33. But he that is married care for the things that are of the world, how he may please his wife. Because your wife, since she's a weaker vessel, are automatically kind of be inclined to more things of this world, right? You got to get her nails done. She want her hair done, right? Got to go grocery shopping. Got to spend some time with her. She want to go take a walk and go to the movies and different things like that. Your mind is not really going to be serving the Most High as you want to. That's why Paul said, "I wish every man were like myself." You got to sacrifice some of that time. But to answer your question, right? Bring this back. Right. To answer your question, yes, you can't have sex with a woman unless you're gonna intend to marry that woman at honesty and sincerity. And if you're gonna do that, if you are looking for a woman, let me get this real quick in Sirach chapter 6. All right, this Sirach chapter 6. Con. This Sirach chapter 6 and verse 7. If thou wouldest get a friend, prove him first, and be not hasty to credit him. Right? So if you're gonna get a friend, you got to prove that person first, man. Right? You can't be hasty to credit people. You can't be burning a lesson late. I know somebody that did that, man. My family, kind of got out. He was doing some time, got out, and just went and laid down with an Edomite, and now you got a child. All right, just laid down quickly. You can't do that. Now you can't just and now you're dealing with Satan, right? All in his ear. See, so you gotta have some discipline. You gotta have some discipline in your members. What kind you got it?
Touch on that as well, because getting a wife, that's a in-depth process, man. We tell brothers and sisters all the time, marriage, it can literally take up years, right? You got certain brothers, they first come into the truth, they already married, man. Right now things happen, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25 years old. Right, you kind of new in this thing. You don't really know the in-depth understanding of the scriptures, but obtaining a wife, that comes with years of taking your time, years of patience. So into that, absolutely, you want to remain celibate. But the brother said you don't want to be, you have certain men, they're whoremongers. In the truth, literally, it was this one story of this brother. We don't want to go into it, but and you got brothers in the truth, they going off. Right? They breaking Eve's heart. They call it this one brother, he's the heartbreak kid in Israel. Right? He's going with Eve, courting his sister, then he breaking her heart. Then he going to this sister, he courting her, he saucing her up, then he breaking her heart. Then he playing with this. Hey, that's off. So you want to remain celibate, not only celibate, not just dealing with a woman, but also what comes to that with so-called burning. Right? Let's go to that in 1 Corinthians chapter 7. Right? This 1 Corinthians chapter 7 and verse number 8. I say therefore to the unmarried and widows, it is good for them if they abide even as I. Because Paul, again, he was a eunuch for the kingdom of heaven's sake. Not only that, Paul wasn't doing ungodly acts, which we're going to get into. It says, I say therefore to the unmarried and widows, it is even good for them that if they can abide even as I. But if they cannot contain, meaning because certain men, they can't contain themselves. You sitting there, it's 12 o'clock at night, right? Your testosterone level is building up. You just shaking, you sweating, don't know what to do. Reading on, let them marry, for it is better to marry than to burn. Meaning it's better for you to get a significant other and be fruitful and multiply than for you to burn. What does it mean by burn? Is that talking about you getting burnt with the flame that's on your stove? No, that means burning in your lust, man. You on sites. Well, you don't have a wife. Right? It's 2 a.m. You looking up things that you ought not to look up on your computer, on your laptop, right? Your mom kind of come in, you kind of just hurry up, close the door. Hey, that's off. So even before, when you're remaining celibate, you might have women, they trying to come at you, right? You still have to remain disciplined and keeping your vessels clean. So no porn, masturbation, fornicating, being a whoremonger until I'm saying you will find your wife that the Lord has given you. Let me get one more. This First Corinthians. Like the brother said, it takes a high level of discipline, right? And you have to be fit for the battle, or else the spiritual demon Satan, he's gonna sift you out of this thing because you can't control your lust. And if you can't control your lust, you're not gonna be able to control your wife, right? So this First Thessalonians chapter 4 and verse number 4, it says that every one of you should know how to possess his vessel in sanctification and honor. Did you bring this out already?
In which precept? First Corinthians.
First Thessalonians 4. Okay. First Thessalonians 4 and 4, that every one of you should know how to possess his vessel in sanctification and honor. So you want to know how to possess your vessel with cleanness, holiness, not in the lust of concupiscence, even as the Gentiles which know not God. Because the men and women that don't know the Lord, they're occupied in those things. Fornication, whoremonger, lewd acts. But guess what? We know the Lord. So we have to possess our vessels wholly. Right? We could move on.
Next question from Eliyahu Banyamyan, Mighty Benjamin. Right? Was Job's 3 friends Israelites? Check out that one.
No, Job's 3 friends wasn't Israelites.
I appreciate
that. Yeah, the Israelites wasn't a nation during the time of when you go into the book of Job, the time period, the Israelites wasn't even a nation. The book of Job takes place during the time of the sons of God. Let's go to that. Let's go to Job chapter 1. All right. Israel is the youngest nation. Israel became a nation, during the time of Jacob. Job was years before Jacob even was thought of through the Spirit. So that's why it's good to know the time frame and the time periods of these books, so you can have a proper understanding, or else you're going to think that Job's friends was Edomites, man. Well, Eliphaz was an Edomite. All right. You're going to think, and you got certain people saying Job was from the tribe of Issachar. All right, because they link it up with the Chronicles. They say Job was an Issacharite. Well, that's not in the scriptures. But this Job chapter 1 and verse number 1. There was a man in the land of Uz whose name was Job, and that man was perfect and upright and one that feared God and eschewed evil. So Job was all the way in what? In the land of Uz. All right. Now, when you look that up geographically, right, that's that's around ancient Mesopotamia. Now, Job was an Israelite. He would either be, in the wilderness, or he would be in the land of Israel during this time. He was all the way in what? The land of Uz. Jump it down to verse number 5. And it was so, when the days of their feasting were going about, that Job sent and sanctified them, and rose up early in the morning, and offered burnt offerings according to the number of them all. For Job said, it may be that my sons have sinned and cursed God in their hearts. Thus did Job continually. So Job, right, he had to offer up a burnt offering. Now, if Job was an Israelite, if Job 3 friends was an Israelite, guess what? You had a Levitical priesthood already set up during this time. So Job wouldn't have to offer up an offering. Now, it said Job offered up an offering. Let's go to the book of Job. chapter 42. Right, it's Job chapter 42 and verse number, it says 7. It says, and it was so that after the Lord had spoken these words unto Job, the Lord said to Eliphaz the Temanite, my wrath is kindled against thee and thy 2 friends, for ye have not spoken of me the thing that is right, as my servant Job hath. Therefore take unto you now 7 bullocks and rams, and go to my servant Job, and offer up for yourselves a burnt offering, and my servant shall pray for you. For him will I accept, lest I deal with you after your folly, and that ye have not spoken of me the thing which is right, like my servant Job. So you had Job, he was able to offer up offerings, but the Lord said these men, they couldn't offer up offerings. Now, if these men were Israelites, they would be able to, if they sinned against the Lord, they would be able to offer up a trespass offering or a sin offering. But guess what? Job is during the time of the sons of God, and you have something called the patriarchal priesthood, which was set up during this time, where the chief men of the household will offer up the offering. Why? Because the Levitical priesthood is not set up. It's no such thing as Levites right now. That's why Noah was able to offer up an offering. Right? Adam was able to offer up an offering. Abraham, before the priesthood came. But you got it.
Kind of had a quick precept, right? In Luke chapter 3, and I'm gonna start at verse 35. I'm gonna start at verse 35. And it says, which was the son of Saruk, which was the son of Ragu, which was the son of Phaleg, which was the son of Eber, which was the son of Salah. So you had the sons of God, then you had the Hebrews, and then you had the Israelites. If you come from Eber or Heber, you will be a Hebrew, right? Because he's the forefather of the Hebrews. Right, and it says, verse 36, which was the son of Canaan, which was the son of Arphaxad, which was the son of Shem, which was the son of Noah, which was the son of Lamech, which is the son of Methuselah, which was the son of Enoch, which is the son of Jared, which is the son of Mahalalel, which was the son of Canaan, which was the son of Enos, which is the son of Seth, which was the son of Adam, which was the son of God. So, like the brother said, the patriarchal priesthood was before you had Levites on the scene, before Jacob and Esau wrestled in the womb. Right, Job goes back during the time of the sons of God. All right, and yes, his 3 friends, when you go into it, they weren't Israelites, right? They weren't Hebrews. They were sons of God living down during around the time of Job, right? Because you have different people that may say, like the brother said, oh, Esau. We read Genesis 36. You know, he was Temanite, right? That means what was his name? Eliphaz. He was an Edomite too. That's impossible, because the timelines wouldn't add up, right? Job would have to live before Genesis, the 25th chapter. He would have to technically come from Esau. All right. Okay.
I had a precept on that.
Oh.
Quick one. This Genesis chapter 14 and verse number It's Genesis chapter 14 and verse number, trying to see where it say Amalek. Right, it's lucky. Let me see if I can pull this up. Genesis 14 and 7. And it reads, and they returned and came to En Mishpat, which is Kadesh, and smote all of the Amalekites. It's like it smote all of the country of the Amalekites, and also the Amorites that dwelt in Hazan Tamar. So you had the Amalekites all the way in Genesis chapter 14. But Amalek is the descendant of Esau, which which you could read about that in Genesis chapter 36. So certain words like the Temanite, right, Amalekites, you had land masses before you had actual men that came out of from these nations. For example, that's why we read about Amalekites all the way in Genesis chapter 14. All right, so Eliphaz the Temanite, he would be from the land of Teman. That doesn't mean that he would be a son of Teman, the Edomite. So I just wanted to bring that up. Come over.
Come. Good questions. Good questions. How Judah, Israel, how will the second wilderness go down? Right. To understand this, you got to understand order of prophecy. Right. You got to understand the series of events that's supposed to happen. Right. The second wilderness takes place after the bombs are dropped. Right. You have Israel being beamed up, and then you have Israel being beamed back down into the land of wilderness. Right. After the seventh seal. Right. You have the seven trumpets. Right. You got to understand the order of prophecy. So let me get the book of Daniel real quick. Right. We'll try to get to every question fast. Or some questions gonna take longer than others, but it's to the spirit of the Most High. All right. Let me get this real quick. This is Daniel chapter 12 and verse 11. And from the time that the daily sacrifice shall be taken away, and the abomination that maketh desolate set up, there shall be 1,290 days. Right, that's going into Jacob's trouble when they start taking away, right, the words of the Lord. Right, we can't go out there freely and teach the words of the Lord anymore. The fifth seal kicks off. They're killing the servants of the Most High. You can read about that in Revelation chapter 20. Right, but when you read on in Jeremiah chapter 30 as well. But when you read on, it says, "Blessed is he that waiteth and cometh to 305 and 30 days." Right, that's the time after Jacob's trouble. Right, that's the time when we're going into the wilderness. You got Jake being beamed back down, Eve being beamed back down into the wilderness, and the Lord is on the earth, man. Right, let me go to the book of Ezekiel chapter 38 real quick. Go to Ezekiel chapter 38. Right, because the last nation that's going to be on the earth is Russia during that time, man. Right, because you're going to have World War III, but Russia's going to be the last one standing. Right, and that tells you that Revelation chapter 17. Actually, let me get that real quick. Revelation chapter 17. Right, this is Revelation chapter 17. And I'm going to start at verse 10. And there are 7 kings, 5 are fallen, and 1 is, and the other that is not yet come. When he cometh, he must continue a short space. Right, because those 7 kings, right, the 5 kings that are fallen. Right, 1 that is, and the other that's not yet come. And when he cometh, which is Russia, he's going to continue a short space, because after World War III, they're going to be the only nation reigning on the earth at that time before the Lord destroys them. So when you go to Ezekiel chapter 38, it's going to tell you, right, it's Ezekiel chapter 38 and verse 7, "Be thou prepared and prepare for thyself, thou and all thy company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them." Right, as America has NATO and they protect all the nations under NATO, under the BRIC alliance with China, Russia, Iran, right, South Africa. Guess what? Russia is going to protect all those nations that are under their alliance as well. And it says, "And after many days thou shalt be visited, in the latter years thou shalt come into the land that is brought back from the sword," right? "And is gathered out of many people against the mountains of Israel," right? Because Israel is right now in this time in the second wilderness, right? And it says, "Which have always been always waste, but it is brought forth out of thy nations, and they shall dwell safely out of all of them." Because when Israel is being saved by these chariots, they're going to be beamed back down in the land, and they're going to be safe. But it's still going to look war torn, right? "And thou shalt come and ascend like a storm. Thou shalt be like a cloud to cover the land, thou and all thy bands and many people with thee. Thus saith the Lord God, shall also come to pass that at the same time shall things come into thy mind, and thou shalt think an evil thought," right? Because when Israel's in that little wilderness, there's nothing protecting us at that point in time. Right, so they're going to think in their mind, we can destroy the Israelites once and for all. So they're going to think that evil thought is them trying to destroy Israel, Russia, and all these other nations. Right, and it says, but chiefly Russia. And it says, verse 11, "And thou shalt say, I will go up to the land of unwalled villages. I will go to them that are at rest, that dwell safely, all of them, dwelling without walls, having neither bars nor gates." Right, let me jump down to verse 14. Therefore, son of man, prophesy saying to Gog, thus saith the Lord Yahweh, in the day when my people Israel dwelleth safely, shalt thou not know it? And thou shalt come forth from the place of the north parts, thou and many people with thee, all of them riding upon horses, a great army and a mighty, great company and a mighty army. And thou shalt come up against my people of Israel. So, hey, so they're going to try to make war with the Israelites, right? You're going to have Jake, and Eve and families, right? They're going to be Psalms 126 and 1, right? They're going to be dreaming. They're like, is this real? Why are we really here? Are we really been saved from the bombs to come? And then the Russians, they're going to try to come and try to destroy Israel, man. But let's see what the Lord said about that. And it says, thou shalt come up against my people of Israel as a cloud to cover the land. It shall be in the latter days, and I will bring thee against my land, that the heathen may know me, when I shall be sanctified in thee, O God, before their eyes. Meaning the Lord is going to destroy them before the Israelites, right? He's going to be protecting them in the wilderness, just as in the days of old, just as in the days of Exodus, when the Egyptians try to come against Israel in the wilderness, right? Guess what? The Most High destroyed the Egyptians. Is going to be the same thing again, right? Dealing with these Russians. Let me get one more precept, I believe in. Let me see if I can find this in Revelation chapter 20. Right. This is Revelation chapter 20, verse 8. And it says, right, and it says, and shall go out to deceive the nations which are in the four quarters of the earth, Gog and Magog, to gather them together to the battle, the number of whom is as the sand of the sea, right? Because Russia and all their alliances, right? And it says, verse 9, and when they went on the breadth of the earth and compassed the camp of the saints about. What does it mean when they compass the camp of the saints about? Because when the saints are in the wilderness, they're going to surround us like the Egyptians tried to do, and they're going to try to destroy the Israelites in the wilderness, right? And it says, and the beloved city, and fire came down from Yahweh out of heaven and devoured them. And we just read about that in Ezekiel chapter 38, that they're going to know the Most High's name. How the Most High is going to devour them with fire, man. Right? You got it. I can get some more too if you want me to.
I heard a precept. Right. It's the book of Ezekiel, chapter 20, and verse number 32. I'm going to start at verse 33. As I live, said the Lord, surely with a mighty hand and a stretched out arm, and with fury poured out, will I rule over you, and I will bring you out from among the people, and will gather you out of the countries where ye are scattered, with a mighty hand, and with a stretched out arm, and with fury poured out, and I will bring you into the wilderness of the people. So like the brother's going into when the prophecies kick off in chronological order, America's destroyed, the Israelites are beamed up, then we're going to be beamed down into the wilderness, right? The Lord is going to gather us, his elect, build us, like it beam us all down into the second wilderness, right? It says, and there would I plead with you face to face. So instead of Moses, just like Moses was in the first wilderness, pleading with the Israelites face to face, you have Hamashiach Hamalak Yahushua pleading with the Israelites face to face. We will be able to see the Lord. You read about that in Zechariah chapter 12, right? Everybody that sees the Lord, they're going to be mourning. Reading on, it says, like as I pleaded with your fathers in the wilderness of the land of Egypt, so will I plead with you, said the Lord. The question is, how will the second wilderness go down? Well, it's a lot of things that's going to go down in the second wilderness, right? Now, you know what I'm saying? You could look on the Cold Cuts channel, the Backup Cold Cuts channel, type in second wilderness, videos will pop up for a more in-depth breakdown, because it's literally an in-depth breakdown. But it's a lot of things that's going to go down, man. A lot of men are going to be getting killed. A lot of murmuring going to be going on. A lot of women going to be killed, man. You have some.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you really want to know how the second wilderness go down, read the book of Exodus.
Yeah.
You're going to have the same people. You have people that want to go back into ancient Egypt, right? Yeah. They want a small fry. All right, they want a Big Mac. All right, let me see if I can find this precept in Exodus. Because, I mean, it's the same. You're going to have people murmuring. Wherefore have you brought us out here into the wilderness? I was watching ESPN. Don't you know that Colorado was about to go to the finals? Their football was out, man. What are you talking about? The fifth seal. This happened. Right? They want to go back and play football again. Let me get this, man. In Exodus real quick. All right, this
Hey, you gonna,
Exodus, huh?
hey, you gonna have people. They gonna say, "Hey, I want to go back to Babylon, America."
Yeah.
You know, back to my job,
Right.
back to freaking off.
Madness. Right? This Exodus chapter 16 and 3. I'm gonna start at verse 2. And the whole congregation of the children of Israel murmured against Moses and Aaron in the wilderness. And the children of Israel said unto them, would to God we had died by the hand of the Lord in the land of Egypt, when we sat by the flesh pots, and when we did eat bread to the full, for you have brought us forth into the wilderness to kill this whole assembly with hunger. Right? So you understand something. The same Israelites that wanted to be saved, Yabashim Yahshua, right? They throwing up curses at the heathen at the end of camp. They get beamed up. Finally, the works just barely makes it, and they get beamed up, and then they get into the land of Israel in the wilderness, and they say, hold on, this is not what I thought it was going to be. Right? I want to go back and I want to eat the McDonald's. I want to go back to Times Square. Right? I was almost there on my PTO hours. I was almost there. I was about to get a pension. And then I'm in the wilderness. What you brought us out here to kill us? That's madness. Did you already bring out Ezekiel chapter 20?
Yeah, I was going into that.
All right.
I was reading into that.
Come on, you got it. Yeah, because the Lord said something about rebels, man. And what's going to happen to these rebellious people. Right? You got it.
Yeah. That's all. You're gonna have people, they're gonna be doing that, man. Right? You wanna go back to, Babylon. It's gonna be and it's crazy because you don't know who the rebels gonna be. Hey, God forbid, but hey, we could be those rebels.
Yeah.
God forbid. It's gonna be brothers. There's brothers you think that are mighty. They got the super strong salute. Yabashimel Shabrakatan.
Right.
Right?
Bang.
Got the glasses. See that? Got the glasses on, teaching that count. Right? Guess what? That brother in the second wilderness, the Lord gonna say something and he not gonna like it.
Mm-hmm.
And guess what? The Lord is gonna purge that man out. So just reading on that, it says, verse 37, I will cause you to pass under the rod, and I will bring you into the body of the covenant. So it's a lot that's gonna happen in the second wilderness. Hey, at the end of the second wilderness, you're gonna pass through the bond of the covenant.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning you're gonna be counted.
Mm-hmm.
And the Lord, and you're gonna have that spiritual body. Like once you pass, we was talking about this a long time ago.
Yeah.
But once you pass underneath the body, once you can see that spiritual body, you made it.
Good. You
good. You can never sin again. But you gotta survive the second wilderness, man. Like your brother said, you wanna see how the second wilderness go, hey, read the book of Exodus, read the book of Numbers. See how the first wilderness go down. But you make it into that bond of the covenant, you pass, you made it. You would never be able to sin again. But just because you make it out of America, that don't mean you will make it to the kingdom. Read on. And I will purge out from among you the rebels, and them that transgress against me, I will bring them forth out of the country where they sojourn, and they shall not enter into the land of Israel, and you shall know that I am the Lord. So you're going to have men that rebel against Yahweh Shai, just like they did Moses, and they're going to do that against the Lord, man. You're going to have certain men talking about Yahweh Shai, preeminence. Nah. You're not having that. They're going to gather men together, and they're going to try to come against Yahweh Shai, man.
They're going to say, where you at? Where you been at, Lord? Dang. That's off.
That's off, man. Talking about we going to get the Lord. We couldn't get him while he's sleep. You trying to put a damn bag over Yahweh Shai's head, and you just disintegrate. Right? You're going to have, God forbid, you have Jake's in a second wilderness with ski mask on.
Oh, my Lord. They got to throw that away.
Right? Got the shiesty mask on, trying to overthrow the Lord.
Yeah, brothers talking about, hold on. It's not that serious. You trying to get riled up against the Lord. You got brothers holding you back.
Yeah, you trying to get brothers. You got brothers holding you back. You trying to go against the Lord.
Yeah.
Look, man. It's a lot that's gonna go down in the second wilderness.
I got a precept.
Kind of, you got it.
Right, it's Leviticus chapter 27, verse 31. Because you like the brother, so you got passed under the rod of the rod. That's Ezekiel 20:37, right? You just brought out, right? That's what happened in the first wilderness, right? It's Leviticus chapter 27, verse 31. And if a man will at all redeem all of his tithes, he shall add thereto the fifth part thereof. And concerning the tithe of the herd or of the flock, even of whatsoever passeth under the rod, the tenth shall be holy unto the Lord. So if you pass under the rod, now you're considered holy unto the Most High. Right? Because we are the sheep, we are the flock. Your job as the flock is to pass under that rod. You want to be counted before the Lord. And if you're not counted before the Lord, you're gonna be sifted out. Right? You're gonna have people. Let me go to the book of was it? I believe it's Daniel 12 and 10, or Zechariah 12 and 10. You're gonna have people crying before the Most High, crying before the Lord, the Yahushua. Right? It's Zechariah 12 and 10. This is going to happen in the second wilderness. And I will pour upon the house of David and upon the inhabitants of Jerusalem the spirit of grace and of supplication, and they shall look upon me, whom they have pierced, and they shall mourn for him as one mourneth for his only son, and shall be in bitterness for him as one in bitterness of his firstborn, for his firstborn, man. Right? So when you see the Lord, hey, there's gonna be a lot of emotions that start to come up, because now you're gonna start remembering, you're gonna start feeling things. Damn, we the one that said put our blood on our children, man, that we want Caesar to be our king, and condemn Yahushua. You're gonna start remembering things that you didn't think you knew, and that it's gonna hit you in your spirit, man. You're gonna people crying. You're gonna have people that's sorry. Let me get the book of Second Ezra chapter 13. Right, this is the book of Second Ezra chapter 13. Right, you got people rejoicing. Right, it's Second Ezra chapter 13, and let me start at verse right for 13. And there came much people unto him, wherefore some were glad, some were sorry, some of them were bound, and others some brought of them that were offered. Then when I was sick through great fear, and I waked and said, right. So you have some people coming before the Lord, man. They were sad, right? They were crying, they were looking on the Lord whom they have pierced, man. Right? You're gonna have rebels getting purged out. God forbid a man comes up to me talking about I have a plan. I'm raising my hand and I'm snitching, Lord willing. Right? Because that's, I mean, what do you mean you got a plan? I thought we are doing the plan right now, keeping the commandments. Right? You're gonna have a lot of people, getting purged out, people sad. But one thing that's gonna happen in the wilderness, though, if you get your spiritual body passing that rod, right? Hey, guess what? You're gonna have to start having children. You're gonna have slave kingdom now getting built up, man. You have things being set in order. You're now getting the understandings that you didn't have from before, man. Secrets start getting revealed. Right? Didn't the Lord say he's going to make a covenant with the animals? Right? Let me get Isaiah chapter 11, verse 6. Right? It's Isaiah 11 and 6. The wolf also shall dwell with the lamb, and the leopard shall lie down with the kid, and a calf and the young lion and the fatling together, and a little child shall lead them. And the cow and the bear shall feed, the young one shall lie down together, and the lion shall eat straw like the ox, man. So the animals are going to go back to their vegetative state, right? You're gonna have children leading different animals. You're gonna see animals you probably never seen before, man. Right? And it says, verse 8, and the sucking child shall play on the hole of the ass. Right? Ass are like wasps. Imagine your 3-year-old playing with wasps. Right? And it says, and the weaned child shall put his hand on the cockatrice den. They shall not hurt nor destroy in all my holy mountain, for the earth shall be full of knowledge of the Lord as the waters cover the sea, man. So as the brother said, like I said, there's a lot of different things. You can look up the second wilderness breakdown on cold cuts, but just for a gist, right, you're going to have a lot of different things play out in the wilderness. All right, Lord, to answer your question. You got anything else, King?
We can move on.
Rapid fire. All right, you can hit this one, King. From Azai, how do I go about living with wicked family? What do I do so the spirits they have don't get on me?
Right? Hey, how do you go about living with a wicked family? What do I do so the spirits they have don't get on me? Well, hey, that's something you have to deal with coming into the truth. That's a part of this, right? 9 times out of 10, your family's gonna be wicked, Let's go to Jeremiah chapter 3, because the Lord isn't choosing everybody. The Lord isn't choosing families, whole families. You got 12 brothers, 8 sisters. The Lord just chooses everybody in the truth. Everybody's righteous. No, it don't work like that, man. Let's go to the book of Jeremiah chapter 3. Right, it's the book of Jeremiah chapter 3 and verse number 14. Turn, O backsliding children, saith the Lord, for I am married unto you, and I would take you one of a city and two of a family, and bring you to Zion. So the Lord, imagine the Lord choose one man out of the city just to be in the truth. Two people, and you might be the only person in the truth in your family. The rest of them is wicked, right? Well, how to deal with that? You want to deal with that according to the spirit of wisdom. Let's go to Matthew chapter 10. All right. Matthew chapter 10 and verse number 16. It says, behold, I send you forth as sheep in the midst of wolves. Be therefore wise as serpents and harmless as doves. So you in the midst of your living family, I'm not sure how your living situation is, but 9 out of 10, you might stay with them. You might not have another place to go with. And they might be wicked. Might be smoking in there. The music, Pooh Shiesty playing loud in the background. Right? Pork all on the pots and pans. That's all you smell. Beards getting shaved off in the house. It might be evil in there, but you want to be wise. You want to be wise as a serpent, harmless as a dove. And you want to, hey, maybe you might have a job. Boom, you go to work, you're in a job, and you come back in the room. All right. Hey, you better not go out there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you go into the living room, all hell might break loose. So you might just, stay in your room, make sure you get your reading in, your praying, your fasting in, your studying in, and you come out your room, maybe you gotta eat, maybe you gotta use the bathroom. Hey, you back in your room watching the videos. But for those spirits not to hop on you, you can't entertain those spirits. The moment you entertain them spirits, hey, them wicked spirits from your family, they gonna hop on you, man. You say, well, hold on, well, I never really spent time with my family. Right? And you in there playing the video games with them. It's nothing but weed smoke going on, and folly and drinking.
And Pooh
And you
Shiesty.
playing the video games in there with them. And the spirit just hop on you.
Right.
Now you just wicked. Well, that's because you're not moving in the spirit of wisdom. But I mean, to answer that in depthly, I would have to know the situation particular. Nevertheless, I could give one more. It's the book of Matthew, chapter 10, and verse number 34. Think not that I am come to send peace on earth. I came not to send peace, but a sword. For I am come to set a man at variance against his father, and a daughter against her mother, and the father-in-law against her mother-in-law. And a man's foes shall be they of his household, of his own household. So that's what the Lord Yahushua came on the scene for. The Lord didn't come on the scene for hugs and kisses, man. Right? For gummy bears. The Lord came to set a man against his father. For the daughter against the mother. Hey, the Lord said, the people in your own house, those are going to be your enemies. So you got your 2/3 family, then you got your real family, which is the women and men of the Lord. That's on fire. Now, you don't want to be in there breaking the commandments for your family, man. Don't be breaking it. Your mom kind of say, well, hold on, take out the trash. It's the Sabbath day. She tell you to clean up the house. You got to let her know, hey, I'm an Israelite, commandments, but you do not want to break, you do not want to break the Lord's commandments because you're a wicked family. Read on. He that loveth his father or mother more than me is not worthy of me. And he that loveth his son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me. So ultimately, it's going to be shown, who do you love more? Do you love the Lord more? or do you love your wicked family? So what to do to get those spirit? Make sure those spirits don't hop on you. Don't entertain them. Keep things righteousness. Make sure you're fasting. And they're gonna try to tempt you. If they try to tempt you, you have to cast it down with the word of the Lord, like Yahweh did. All right. You got anything on that?
Con. Let me bring this up real quick. Right. This is 2 Corinthians 6 and 14. Be ye not unequally yoked together with unbelievers. For what fellowship have unrighteousness with Shlakia? For what fellowship have righteousness with unrighteousness, and what communion have light with darkness? Right? Communion is when you sit down and you commune, you eat and you drink with somebody, man. Right? I mean, at the end of the day, yes, it's your family. Right? You don't want to go and just disrespect your family. Still honor thy mother, thy father. But at the end of the day, like the brother said, I don't know what your situation may be. Right? I don't know how old you are. Can you get your own spot? Do you have your own spot, or are you living with your family? You kind of want to separate yourself in the regards of you being in this truth and they're not in this truth. Right? Let me go to the book of Proverbs, chapter 28, because at the end of the day, they're gonna contend with you just for you keeping the laws of the Lord. It's Proverbs chapter 28 and verse 4. They that forsake the law praise the wicked, right? So if you're not dealing with the law, you're gonna think that what wicked men are doing is cool, that's in style, it's awesome, right? You're gonna start praising the wicked. But such as keep the law, contend with them. So if you're keeping the law, there's automatically oil and water. You're gonna contend with them, right? There's two things are either gonna happen. You're gonna influence them, or they're gonna influence you. There's only two things that's really gonna happen. Either you're gonna influence them with your righteous works, or their wicked works are gonna start to seduce you. Right? Their ways are gonna start to seduce you. And I don't know how, I mean, it may be more than one person, right? I'm assuming, but those are a lot of spirits to battle and to deal with. All right, let me go to the book of Sirach. All right, let me get the book of Sirach. See if I can find this precept real quick. All right, this is Sirach chapter. Let's see if I can find this. Yeah. Basically going into, let me see if I see this one. Con is cool if I can't find it. I can't cool. Oh, Sirach 13, Shlaki. This is the book of Sirach, chapter 13. And let me start at verse 16. All flesh consorteth according to kind, and a man will cleave to his like. Even in the ancient world, you had the prophets roll with the prophets, you had the priests roll with the priests, right? You had the wicked with the wicked, you had the righteous with the righteous, right? So all flesh, right, goes according to its kind, right? What fellowship have the wolf with the lamb? So the sinner with the godly, right? You with your big cousin and you in the back of a hot box talking about, I didn't smoke though. I ain't smoked though. Brother, what do you mean? Get in the back of a Toyota Camry 2006 in the alley in the dark. this going on. Think about the precepts in your mind trying to battle. Brother, get out of the car. You're not supposed to be there. Right? Their works are influencing you. Right? It says, what agreement is there between the hyena and a dog? And what peace between the rich and the poor? As the wild ass is the lion's prey in the wilderness, so the rich eat up the poor, man. So when you're dealing with your family, obviously you want to deal with wisdom. Matthew 10 and 16, right? When you actually pull that, you want to deal in wisdom. You want to understand that, right? This book of Matthew chapter 10 and verse 16. All right. Behold, I send you forth as sheep in the midst of wolves. Be you therefore wise as serpents and harmless as doves, right? You don't want to be there causing strife and division. It's 7 a.m. Everybody just got up and you got your Bible open, rebuking everybody, man. You need to keep this, and then you get put out your house, right? You got to be wise as a serpent and harmless as a dove, right? Meaning you got to just kind of have a straightforward type of mentality. If you got to go to the kitchen, just do what you got to do. Go back to your room and just do what you got to do, man. Right? But you got any more on that, King?
That's plenty. We can move on.
From D34. Any tips for studying? And brothers get this question kind of frequently. For me personally, when I first came into the truth, how I studied, I used to watch a lot of camp videos, and then when brothers are bringing out precepts, I'll try to flip to the precept and hold as many of the precepts as I can that he called through the spirit. And that will help you remember certain precepts and where they're at. Brother may call Habakkuk 1:4. You flip to Habakkuk, and then he calls Daniel, you know what I'm saying, Daniel 12:3. You flip to Daniel, and then he may call Genesis, and now you flip into all these precepts. It's helping you remember where the precepts are at, who they're next to, and things like that. But you got brothers that do flashcards. You got brothers that write down breakdowns, write down precepts, and it helps them actually memorize the precepts. They writing it down. You got multiple different ways, that brothers study through the spirit. That's just personally how I studied. A lot of teachers, going up, watching the videos. Hey, you have brothers that teach themselves, right? You have brothers that they'll be in the mirror, they have a breakdown, and they'll just read the breakdown and they'll call the precept, and the brothers will teach themselves. Before brothers actually go out and teach, they will teach themselves, the doctrine, the precept. They listen to it in the car. You always don't got to listen to music. Right in the car, you can play a breakdown right on your way, on your headphones, whatever you got to do, But there are multiple different ways, you can study this thing as well. All right, you got some.
Yeah, studying. It's a lot that go into it because you can study but not retain other stuff you study.
All right.
You can study for a day. 2 months later, you're not studying at all. You get your study session back. You stop studying for 2 months straight, then you start studying again. So it's a lot that go in studying. Like the brother said, you got certain brothers that use the flashcards. I got, what I'm saying, this right here. I call like the precept packet. It got tons of, it got tons of topics in here with different precepts. Dealing with marriage, the right hand, false accusers, 2/3, the 10 horns, leprosy, the burnt offerings. So you got brothers, they do it like that. I'm gonna just really say for studying, you have to be. It's levels to it, so it depends. How hard of studying you trying to get, because you have light study, you got intermediate study, then you have hardcore study sessions. Just like with basketball players, you got a light workout. For the man, he might just want to get a light workout in. Then you have men, they intermediate, they love doing this, but it's not 100%. Then you have men that's actually trying to get real life results, and they're going as hard as they can because they want to be the greatest. So it's up to your spirit, but if you're trying to be the greatest with your studying, it takes a lot of consistency, a lot of discipline, a lot of abounding in the work of the Lord. Let me bring this out in 1 Corinthians chapter 15. Right, it's the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 15 and verse number 58. And it reads, it says, therefore, my beloved brethren, be ye steadfast, unmovable, always abounding in the work of the Lord. So you want to always be abounding in the work of the Lord, man. You don't want to, have a study session or you studying. You might do your flashcards. You might have it written down on your notebook. Then you go watch a 4-hour Netflix TV series. All of that studying that you just did is gonna slip you. Right? That's Hebrew. Let me go to that real fast. In Hebrews chapter 12 and 1. You just watching Squid Games. Right? You just watching Squid Games after a hardcore study session. Well, brother, that knowledge, that studying was in vain. Because you got to be real considerate. You got to always be about it in the work of the Lord. Everything has to be, how about you, man? Literally 24/7. If you slip anything else into it, you're not going to get the results that you might want. This Hebrews chapter 12. Actually, I believe that's Hebrews. It's like a Hebrews 2 on 1. Right? It's the book of Hebrews, chapter 2, and verse number 1. Therefore, we ought to give the more earnest heed to the things which we have heard, lest at any time we should let them slip. So if you're not always abounding in the work of the Lord, things is gonna slip you. You're gonna be like, man, what's that precept? You're gonna be at camp looking for the precept. You have certain, not that it's off. I mean, you could do it, but you got certain brothers they teaching. They don't remember the precept. So they pulling out their phone in the midst of them teaching. They looking it up, which is nothing wrong with that. But if you want to be the greatest, then you gonna feel kind of bad.
Yeah.
You gonna feel like, dang man, wasn't really studying like how I should be. You're gonna feel ashamed. So
ha.
You said what?
All for talking about ha. See that?
That's embarrassing.
Yeah.
You getting laughed to scorn, right? You don't know the precept. You've been sending up for 5 minutes. What's that precept? A sister come out the background. She said, I got the precept up. Right? You let a sister, there's nothing wrong with it, but you let a sister, she fold up her chair. She bring out the precept. Hey, this is bad. Because you wasn't studying. Or you didn't apply the right tips for studying. So let me get one more. Let's go to Titus. This Titus chapter 2 and verse number, I'm going to start at verse 7. In all things showing thyself a pattern of good works, and doctrine showing uncorruptness, godly sincerity. So you want to be consistent. You want to show a pattern of good works. So there's going to be a lot of repetition. Right, brothers? You could type in on the channel, in-depth breakdown for studying. How to study. Brothers did a cold cuts on that. But it's going to take a lot of repetition, right? A lot of hard work, sacrifice, dedication, consistency, discipline. That's all I got.
I appreciate it. As you know, this 2 Timothy 2 and 15, the classic, study to show thyself approved unto God, a workman that needeth not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. So you're a workman, meaning it's gonna take some work. Meaning you got to dedicate some time, you got to dedicate some hours, set a time set aside some time to study the precepts. And then when you're studying to understand it, but then once you understand it, now you got to study to teach it. You know what I'm saying? Let me go to the book of Acts real quick, chapter 17 and verse 11. These were more noble than those in Thessalonica in that they received with the word with all readiness of mind and searched the scriptures daily whether those things were so. So when you're a workman, you searching the scriptures, you got to do it every day. It's not you do it for one day. I'm going to study 3 out of the 7 days a week. I'm going to do it 5 out of 7 days. You got to do this every day. That's how you're going to get built up to certain levels, brothers are. Understand and remember the precepts, remember breakdowns off GP, just kind of, it's like muscle memory. You got to do it every day. And then after you have this knowledge, you got to rightly divide the word of truth. I mean, you now have to teach it, right? You can't retain that wisdom to yourself because the Most High will make your vessel start to leak out water, man. And next thing you know, you just dry. You're a dry well, right? You got to go to Job chapter 7, Job chapter 15. Your room, you got 17 books, 38 notebooks like this. And you say, I got all the knowledge. $9.99, right? If you want this breakdown and you promoting it everywhere, you can't do that, right? It's Job 15 and 8. Has thou heard the secret of God, and doest thou restrain wisdom to thyself? What knowest thou that we know not? What understandest thou which is not in us? And you in a congregation, and you know certain things. Brother's been asking the same question for 2 weeks. right? And then you just declare while you teaching at camp, and brothers looking at you like, what do you know that we don't know? What are these breakdowns that you know that we have no understanding of? Because you restrained your wisdom to yourself. So when you study to understand it, then when you're studying again, study to know how to teach it. Because you can understand something but not know how to teach it. Right? You got anything else on that?
No,
All right, calm. From Serenity, right? Shalom. Is anal oral sex a sin? Because I've heard from Christians that anal or is considered sodomy, and if it's a sin, are we going to hell? Now, before you hop in, I want to pull up something real quick because now Esau added that oral sex as sodomy now, but the original definition when you go into sodomy, right, and it says, actually, I can Google this. All right, all right, all right, sodomy, right. Now, and it says sodomy generally refers to the either anal sex, but occasionally also oral sex, right? Right. And it says between people or any sexual intercourse between a man and an animal, bestiality. It may also mean any non-procreative sexual activity. So it just generally means anal sex, right? When you're dealing with it, right? Let me go down, scroll down a little bit. What does sodomizing a person mean? Right, intercourse via the anus, committed by a man with a man or woman in intercourse, anal sex, buggery, right? But it's just typically going into anal sex, right? Not so much really oral, but really anal. That's where it kind of comes from, right? So let me get this precept real quick in Deuteronomy, right?
I'm not sure where the brother went. Are you still here? Uh, Lord willing, he able to. I'm not sure if y'all can see him. Can't see him on my screen. Right. Uh, y'all are y'all able to see him? Can't see him. Con. So to I'm not sure if Lord willing the brother could get back in here, but to answer the question, now I'm gonna just say this. Let me bring out Genesis chapter 1. Right? We bring out Genesis chapter 1 and verse 26. It's Genesis chapter 1 and 26. And God said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over us, or the fish, and the sea, and over all the air, and over the cattle, and over the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. So God created man in his own image. In the image of God created he him, male and female created he them. And God blessed them, and God said unto them, be fruitful and multiply. So, this is a controversial topic, in the nation. I was just talking about a brother with this, but we're gonna keep it plain what the scripture said. The Lord said, be fruitful and multiply. That's it, that's all. If you're not being fruitful and multiply, you're going against the first commandment. So with that being said, oral, anal, you're not multiplying with that. All right. And it's a spirit that comes with that. Right. We're not gonna go too in depth, but it's just even in you coming, you in the truth, you a new creature. It's still a spirit that comes with that. So the Lord said, be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth. Right. That's what the Most High God said. So, you want to be fruitful and multiply. Every time you have intercourse, you want to be fruitful and multiply. All right. Let me see. Go to the next question. Um, pull this up. See the brother.
You hear me?
You hear me? You hear me now?
Con, man, I'm doing this thing, man.
Think your connection might be bad.
Bad.
It's kind of choppy.
Blacked out on me.
Yeah,
Con.
you might be kind of I tackled it. I'm not. You can hear me, right?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yo, your internet kind of bad. You might have to it's like laggy.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Okay, Con. Hold up.
So now we're gonna move on to the next question. Right. Next question is that I see on here. What happened to the tribe of Dan? Well, what happened to the tribe of Dan is, the tribe of Dan, they got diminished, right? The tribe of Dan, they got diminished. All right, let's go to that in the book of well, actually, let me go to Second Ezra chapter 13 first. Let me go to Second Ezra chapter 13, verse number 40. All right, it's the book of Second Ezra chapter 14 and verse chapter 13 and verse number 40, and it reads, those are the 10 tribes which were carried away, prisoners out of their own land, in the time of Hosea the king, whom Salmanasseh the king of Assyria led away captive. And he carried them over the waters, and so they came into another land. So Dan was with the rest of the northern kingdom tribes that actually came over here to the New World, Babylon the Great, America. But the thing with Dan is, right, the tribe of Dan is still here, but you're not going to be able to say, okay, you know what, hey, that's the Danite, right? This person, oh yeah, he's from the tribe of Dan. Oh yeah, I'm from the tribe of Dan. I'm from the same tribe as Samson. No, you're not going to be able to tell that because that knowledge of the Danite, that's not given from the Lord. All right. And Dan has got diminished and they fell away through their idolatry. Let's go to that in Amos, the 8th chapter. Now, if a brother is pointing out the Danites, well, guess what? You got to tell him to prove all things. Let's go to Amos chapter 8. Right, it's the book of Amos, chapter 8 and verse number 14. Amos 8 and 14. It reads, they that swear by the sin of Samaria and say that God, O Dan, liveth, and the manner of Bathsheba liveth, even they shall fall and never rise up again. So The Lord spoke about the falling away of the Danites in Amos the 8th chapter, verse 14. Nevertheless, the tribe of Dan will have a gate in the kingdom of heaven. Right? The tribe of Dan, it's not like they're destroyed. They're not mentioned in Revelation chapter 7 because they're not of the elect. And it's going chiefly into the elect. Nevertheless, the tribe of Dan will have a gate. You back in here, Ken.
Huh.
I'm not sure you want to pull up the Dan question. Yeah, kind of what. Let's go to Ezekiel chapter 48. All right, let's go to the book of Ezekiel chapter 48 and verse number 31. And the gates of the city shall be the names of the tribe of Israel. 3 gates northward on the gate of Reuben, 1 gate of Judah, 1 gate of Levi. And at the east 4,503 gates. And the 1 gate of Joseph, 1 gate of Benjamin, 1 gate of Dan. So Dan is going to have a gate in the kingdom of the Most High God. Right? Let's see if we have time for one more question. All right, see if we have time for one more question. It's like I'm trying to scroll on this comment thing and see all the questions. All right. I think we skipped some questions.
That's ridiculous. Hold on, let me see if I can pull up the next question, man.
Oh, kind of what? Yeah, I'm trying to see these questions, tackle them in order. I think it's getting care by Sierra. Not sure if you can put that up. That's the next one I see in order. You able to pull that up? You still kind of glitching. Yeah, like you might have to try to log in into your phone.
Kanye, just tackle that question. I'm trying to see what's going on with the connection.
Right. So it says also, does the Bible condone rape? Because it says, let's say a woman is raped, but she freezes. If she didn't call out for help, did she sin? And if she did sin, does she need to repent? Let's go to it. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 22. All right, let's go to the law. Let's see what the law says. Because you got certain men, they say that. Well, you can rape a woman. Right? You have brothers, they teach that in the truth, right? You could be able to rape, you know, kind of get you one, you could force her, and it is what it is. She has to deal with it. Hey, that's off. So certain men, they twist the scriptures, but you want to go to the law and you want to get the proper understanding. Let's go to Deuteronomy 22 and verse number 25. And it reads, but if a man find a betrothed damsel in the field, Deuteronomy chapter 22 and verse 25. But if a man find a betrothed damsel in the field, and the man force her and lie with her, then the man only that lie with her shall die. But unto the damsel thou shalt do nothing. There is in the damsel no sin worthy of death. For as a man, when a man riseth against his neighbor and slayeth him, even so is this matter. So if a man, if he lies with a betrothed damsel and forces her, he will get put to death. It's not like the Lord is saying, well, okay, I'm saying get this woman, kind of do what you gotta, you can force her, right? You putting your hands on the wall, where you going? Right? She's backing up, she's nervous, she's scared. Then the Most High just letting you do what you gotta do. No, that man, he will have to be put to death. Now, reading on, as for a betrothed damsel, it says, verse 27, for he found her in the field, and a betrothed damsel cried, and there was none to save her. Because there was somebody might have not been watching, right? Somebody might have not heard the cry. The Lord might have not put it in the spirit of a man to go help. Reading on, it says, if a man find a damsel that is a virgin, which if not betrothed, and lay hold on it, and lie with it, and they be found. So what this is saying is, it's not condoning rape. What this is saying is, if rape was to happen, if this was to happen, because rape is not just something new. That's been going, men, read Genesis chapter 34 and 1, where Dinah, she got the foul. All right, and Shechem tried to pay the dowry for it. It says, then the man that lay with her shall give unto the damsel's father 50 shekels of silver, and she shall be his wife, because he hath humbled her, and he may not put her away all his days. So the punishment for a woman that's not betrothed, if he rapes her, or if he rapes that woman, because the father, he might have his daughter promised to another man, the punishment would be that he would have to pay those shekels of silver, and he cannot put away this woman for the rest of his life. And that's kind of a bad punishment, because he didn't probably really love her, didn't have any interest in her. It was just lust. And when lust goes away, right, guess what? That man, he's gonna be jammed up, and he got to kind of deal with it, because he can't control his lust. So, Lord willing, that answer your question, right? That woman did not sin. Now, guess what? Let's go to Genesis chapter 34. You can hear me clearly, Ken? Let's go to Genesis chapter 34.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, you hear me?
Yeah, sometimes it's going in and out on your side, but I can hear you now.
It is Genesis 34 and 1. And Dinah, the daughter of Leah, which she bare unto Jacob, went out to see the daughters of the land. So you had Dinah, Jacob's daughter. She went to go see the daughters of the land, meaning the women of the other nations. Reading on. It says, and when Shechem, the son of Hamor the Hivite, prince of the country, saw her, he took her and lay with her. and defiled him. So Dinah, she got raped, man. Now, guess what? If Dinah would have never went out to go see the daughters of the land, right? If she would have been a keepers at home, guess what? She would have never got raped. So, that's judgment from the Lord, man. So it depends on the situation and the scenario. If a woman gets raped, it's a judgment, or a woman could be innocent. You know, she might not need to repent. So,
Kai, precept.
uh,
All right, this history, Susan.
sound went out. The sound went out, Kane. See if I can call him. Right. So, Lord willing, that answer the question. All right, Lord willing, that answer the question. But with that, hold on, Slakia. Kind of Lord willing, I'm saying this video is edifying, right? Lord willing, we could do a Q&A series every week. So everybody's question, if your question didn't get answered, Lord willing, is going to get answered through the Spirit. So Lord willing, this Q&A was edifying. Continue to read, pray, fast, study. Most importantly, beseech the Heavenly Father for His mercy. With that, I'm going to say shalom.
Shalom, shalom, shalom. All praises. Trying to end it now. I don't know, because I said my stuff.